Jai Hind! How's the Josh? How's the Josh? Ladies and gentlemen, if you think I'm saying a dialogue from a movie, you are thinking absolutely wrong. This is not a dialogue from a movie, it's a common terminology which we use in the army every morning at 5 a.m. when we meet and greet our groups to make sure that we all have conquered ourselves and we all work together as one team in one common direction towards common objectives. My family has been soldiering for 200 years. My father retired from the army after 40 years of honorable service as the second highest ranking officer of the Indian Army. He was the deputy chief of the army staff. So I too obviously had to continue the martial tradition of the family alive. However, let me tell you, I did not get through my National Defense Academy exam, the NDA exam. I was disheartened. Anyhow, I'll come to active story after subsequently, but William Shakespeare once said, "Cowards die many times before the death. The valiant never face death, but once." Why is that so? Because if you are scared of something, you will keep dying a million deaths. You are only holding yourself behind from attempting it. You'll keep wanting to do it, but you'll keep dying from inside. For example, if you want to leave your 9-to-5 job and open a business of your own, or do something of your own, or freelance, you'll keep thinking, and it'll never happen. It's like an alarm clock in the morning, you put it for 5, 5:10, 5:15, 5:20, and you find you've overslept. So you have to take the plunge then and there. You have to conquer yourself. It starts from the beginning of the day. Right from the time you put your alarm clock and you decide, okay, I'm going to wake up at 5 in the morning and go for a run or go to the gym. You have conquered yourself at that point of time. It all begins from the mind. The mind can achieve or it can conceive. Do you agree with that or not? So when I didn't get through my NDA exam, I could see myself only in an army uniform. And my dream was saluting the President of India in an army uniform at Rajpath, New Delhi. But how could that be? My dreams were shattered. So I went to Pune. Why? To do my graduation. And why to Pune? Because the National Defense Academy was there. I also had one more passion, the passion for stage, the passion for theatre. Also the Film and Television Institute of India was there in Pune. So I used to visit the NDA and the FTI equally. My two role models in life, my father is an alumni of the National Defense Academy in Pune, and my uncle, Mr. Nasiruddin Shah, is from FTI Pune. And both are my icons. But one thing I've learned from the very beginning of my life is that it doesn't matter where a person, in which family a person is born. He could be born in the poorest of the poor family, underprivileged of the underprivileged family, the most privileged family, the richest family, irrespective. What really matters is what the person does with his own life, how he conquers inner demons and moves ahead in life. हिंदी में कहते हैं कि नहरों के सामने तो कोई भी तैर सकता है. Anyone can swim with the tide, with the waves. But if you actually rip the tides apart, rip the waves apart and swim along with that, then you are a true person. That means you are doing justice to your own self. Whereas if you keep on making excuses, oh, my alarm didn't ring, oh, this didn't happen, that didn't happen, I'll start from tomorrow. That tomorrow will never come. If not now, then when? Let me tell you all, if you all have a dream, if you all have some plan for yourself, do it right now. Put your hands on your hearts right now. Come on, all of you. Come on, it's a request. I'm sorry, my request might sound a bit harsh because that's a soldier speaking. Okay, now make a promise to yourself. I am going to conquer my inner demons. Say that. Very well. I am going to conquer myself. And it starts from now. If not now, then never. Very good. I'm very happy with seeing this Josh over here. Now, I grew up as a small little boy who was very timid, shy, introverted, underconfident. I was scared to even utter my name to a stranger. If anyone would ask me my name, I would blush and just quietly go into a cocoon. But you know, when something goes in a cocoon, like for example, a butterfly, the larva, when it breaks the egg, it thinks it's the end of the world, but it flies, it transforms into a beautiful butterfly. And I was very inspired by that story. And let me tell you one thing. How many of you over here have held ourselves back from doing something? How many of us over here? Okay, let me tell you, 200 years of family tradition in the army. If I tell you all that I never experienced fear, I would be out and outright lying to you all. Everyone experiences fear. Everyone is scared. We're all human beings. But what is important is hiding your fear, concealing it, overcoming your fear, not showing it. If you show your fear, the men behind you will not follow you into action. They will not follow you into battle. Let me tell you a story of a senior of mine from the army. His name is Captain Kangaroos. On 28th June 1999, middle of the night, Captain Kangaroos received orders. Kargil war was on at that time. That there was one particular LNG post of the enemy which was creating havoc for the Indian Army. Captain Kangaroos was assigned a task to go and destroy that post. The enemy was there, of course, but the main enemy was the terrain, the weather, the conditions, the climate, the snow, lack of oxygen, lack of supplies. But our army fought against all odds. Captain Kangaroos and his platoon started the climb, went for the advance toward that peak, and as they were climbing, midway, the enemy observed the movement of the Indian Army approaching them. The enemy opened fire in all directions. Bullets were flying all over. Captain Kangaroos got shot in his belly. There were 3 bullets which pierced his belly. But he led by being unmindful of his own personal safety and led from the front, ensuring the safety of his men. But in the army, we take an oath which says the safety, honor, welfare of your country comes first, always and every time. The honor, welfare, and comfort of the men you command comes next. Your own ease, comfort, and safety comes last, always, and every time. So Captain Kangaroos lived up to the Chetwood credo to the T. He led his men from the front, and then he did something which is most unimaginable. He conquered his fear, conquered himself, and he took off his boots. Because in minus 19-degree temperature where there was snow, his boots were slipping in the snow. He removed his boots, and he said, I belong to Nagaland, I'm a Pahadi, I will do this climb, and I will make sure, I've been shot. There are no medical facilities available here. It's unlikely that I might survive. But when I go, I will take the enemy along with me and I'll make sure that none of you get wounded in this operation. And he lived it to the T. Captain Kangaroos climbed the peak. He told his men, let me go in advance. I don't mind sacrificing my life, but I will ensure your personal safety. He continued the climb with a rocket launcher. It's very heavy. You need 2 people to fire a rocket launcher. One person loads, the other person fires. Captain Kangaroos reached the end of the cliff. He reached on the top. He came face to face with 2 enemies, just 1 meter distance between them. He took out his commando knife. He neutralized them then and there. Thereafter, in the most unimaginable daring act, Captain Kangaroos took out his rocket launcher and fired at the enemy post that he was assigned to fire upon and destroyed. He destroyed the enemy post, but just then a burst of enemy fire came and hit Captain Kangaroos right in the chest. Captain Kangaroos fell from the cliff, and thereafter the men who had climbed up with great difficulty, in the army we live together, we die together. But Captain Kangaroos did not die despite falling from the cliff. Why didn't he die? He didn't die because he had become shaheed ho gaye the wo. He had become a martyr, and martyrs never die. They become legends and live in our hearts and minds forever. The men went down, wrapped his body in the national flag, brought it up on the peak, placed the national flag on that peak, which they had conquered. They all wept like little babies. They all cried together. They cried not out of happiness. They cried not because they had won a peak. They cried because they had lost their brave platoon commander, who they affectionately called Nimbo Saab. The men cried and wept, and they all shouted together in unison, "Ye jeet aapki hai, Nimbo Saab! Ye hill aapka hai! Aaj se ye hill Nimbo hill kehlayega." And if you ever go to Kargil to see where the Indian Army fought for your tomorrow, you'll see a very prominent hill over there known as Nemo Hill. That is the story of Nemo Hill. The story doesn't end here, ladies and gentlemen. 3 decades, 30 years of insurgency in Nagaland. Nagaland is a very subdivided society. They are more than 48 tribes existing there. You could be an Ao, Angami, Chang, Chakisan, Sema, Lotha. Different tribes have a different sub-tribe. And a different sub-tribe has a different sub-sub-tribe. And a different sub-sub-tribe, once again, has a different dialect. And each dialect has a sub-sub-dialect. But 3 decades of insurgency was forgotten in one day when the entire Nagaland state united together to receive Captain Kangaroo's body at Dihapur Airport. From Dihapur Airport to the residence in Kohima, they over a 100-kilometer stretch, the entire Nagaland is united. Lesson learned over here is, ladies and gentlemen, there is no glory in war. When our children or our younger siblings come back from work, from school in the afternoon, and if they're late, even by 5 minutes, we are concerned. Where is our child? Where is our brother? Where is our sister? Think about the family of these soldiers who fight without even questioning, without being totally unmindful of their own personal safety and lead from the front. The toughest job I had to do, let me tell you one thing. I was in my early 20s. We had gone for an operation. And we had lost a very young, brave heart by the name of Lance Naik Dharmender. Lance Naik Dharmender was a brave heart. He was soon to get married. I was given the task to inform his family that Lance Naik Dharmender is no more in this world. That was a very difficult job to do. Very difficult. I think the most difficult job I've ever done. A few days before that, Dharmender had made me speak to his family because in the army we follow one thing. Know your men who you lead better than their own mothers. What I say? Know your men better than their own mothers and care for them even more. Very difficult task to do. Very difficult. But not impossible. We have to only conquer ourselves. We have to feel we can do it. Only if we feel we can do it, we can do everything. I had spoken to Dharmender's family a few days before that, and now I had called up and I spoke to his mother. Imagine my plight. How would I have had to face that family to tell that a man under my command is no more? But I had to do it. It was my job. I did it in a very subtle manner, all right. I built it up, but then I had to do it. I had a lot of fears as a child of public speaking, fear of the dark, fear of ghosts, fear of examinations. I was never a good student, never. Let me tell you all, I failed in my class 9th. I repeated my year. Children, I failed in class 9th. I repeated a year. And I was in a boarding school. In boarding school, what happens? When you see your batchmates becoming your seniors, your juniors become who you had dragged and bullied. Sorry to say that. But when who you had dragged, who had become your batchmates, it's a very, very difficult thing to do, to coexist with them. But I did that. I had to make that balancing act. I failed my National Defense Academy, came to Pune for my graduation. And in my National Defense Academy in Chennai, let me tell you one small little story. Early morning run, we were running, and at that time, a very senior instructor of ours had a very beautiful daughter. As they passed us, one of us, who had crew cuts, we all looked similar, of course, said, "Guys, the beauty and the beast!" And you know what happens? The senior instructor turns around and says, all of you get out of push-ups. How dare you call my daughter a beast? So anyhow, so that we overcame. We all were punished. We all got a 40-kilometer Josh run. We had to do a 40-kilometer Josh run with a backpack, bajri, cement, and bricks, and a rifle. But let me tell you, similarly, some senior of mine, it wasn't his idea, but he took the blame on himself, said it was my idea. They got caught. And anyway, the story ends there. I'm trying to tell you all that, there's a photo of a horse tied to a tree. The horse is not tied to a tree. It's tied to a wooden log. But the horse feels mentally I'm tied to that tree. So horse doesn't move from there. But if the horse wants, he can break the shackles. It can do what it wants. It can conquer itself. So, ladies and gentlemen, the last thing I want to tell you all is an ode to our martyrs. I'd like to say, when you go home, tell them of us and say, for your tomorrow, we gave our today. Jai Hind!